Good evening and welcome to Biz RoundUp. I'm Tamiru Nimsat and we at our television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's have a look at the headlines. President Kumar Dissanayake outlines vision for inclusive 2025 budget. World Bank to provide financial and technical assistance for Sri Lanka's development projects. Tourist arrivals crossed the 100,000 mark in the first 2 weeks of this year. News in detail. Martin Reiser, Vice President for South Asia at the World Bank, affirmed the institution's commitment to supporting Sri Lanka's key government initiatives. This announcement was made during a meeting with President Kumar Dissanayake and World Bank representatives held at the Presidential Secretariat recently. The World Bank pledged financial and technical assistance for youth employment generation, Clean Sri Lanka project, rural poverty alleviation and digital transformation. Discussions also explored potential World Bank support for new projects in education, energy, digitalization and northern development. President Kumar Dissanayake underscored the significance of education in eradicating poverty, urging the World Bank to back ongoing reforms in the sector. He also stressed the need to enhance public transportation, boost agriculture's economic contribution, expand ports and airports, and strengthen northern development. Martin Reiser assured the timely disbursement of approved financial assistance and reiterated the World Bank's readiness to collaborate on the proposed projects. President Kumar Dissanayake announced that the 2025 budget will be designed to involve every segment of the population in Sri Lanka's economic processes. This was emphasized during a preliminary discussion held with officials from the Ministry of Finance. The President stressed the importance of developing an efficient and productive economic system. He highlighted the need for strengthening public transportation, enhancing essential facilities and addressing inefficiencies. The President also pointed out the need for optimizing decentralized funds, redirecting funds allocated to members of Parliament toward national projects for great impact. He also urged the need for regulating rice stocks, ensuring producers comply with regulations and timely repayment of loans provided to millers for purchasing paddy. President AKD stressed the need for grassroots involvement, extending the benefits of urban-centered economic activities to rural communities to ensure equitable distribution across all provinces. He further stressed the need for decentralized fund mismanagement, highlighted issues with funds previously allocated to MPs being underutilized or misdirected. President also emphasized the need for welfare distribution, identifying flaws in existing welfare mechanisms to protect vulnerable communities. President AKD went to stress the necessity for economic equity, stressed the necessity of engaging grassroots-level populations in economic growth, enabling inclusive and balanced development. Sri Lanka's Purchasing Managers Index saw improvements in both the manufacturing and services sectors during December 2024, reflecting strong economic activity during the festive season. This was revealed by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka recently. The PMI for manufacturing rose to 57.2 in December from 53.3 in November, indicating sustained expansion. New orders and production increased due to strong demand, particularly in the food and beverage sector. Textiles and apparel declined due to reduced orders from major export markets during winter holidays, leading to a drop in casual labor employment. Stock of purchasers continued to expand while suppliers' delivery times remained extended. Outlook optimism for the next 3 months with better economic conditions anticipated. The PMI for services reached an index value of 71.1 in December, significantly higher than 60.5 in November. The National Consumer Price Index of Sri Lanka recorded a 2% year-on-year decline in December 2024, marking the 4th consecutive month of deflation. Monthly inflation peaked up by 1.1%, a noticeable increase from 0.1% in November, driven by rising prices of key food items including vegetables, coconuts and rice. Core inflation, excluding volatile items such as food, energy and transport, eased to 1.3% year-on-year, down from 1.5% in November. Policymakers prefer core inflation as it offers a clearer picture of underlying price pressures. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka, committed to maintaining price stability, expects the deflationary trend to persist through the first half of 2025 before aligning with its 5% medium-term target by late 2025. The CBSL had previously cut its key policy rate by 50 basis points in November, leveraging subdued inflation to stimulate economic demand through cheaper credit. Monthly food inflation surged to 2.6%, reflecting price increases in essential commodities like vegetables, rice and coconuts. However, food prices remained 1% cheaper year-on-year compared to December 2023. Non-food prices decreased by 0.1% month-on-month in December, with an annual decline of 2.9%, marginally slower than the 3.1% drop in November. Declining fuel costs played a major role in this reduction. Additionally, a 20% reduction in electricity tariffs, effective last week, is expected to lower the cost of goods and services further. The impact of this tariff cut will likely become more evident in the February 2025 price indices. Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. The Energy Ministry has decided to proceed with the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka's recommendation to reduce electricity tariffs by an average of 20% across all consumer categories. Energy Minister Kumara Jayakodi confirmed that the tariff reduction would be effective immediately, dispelling earlier uncertainties. Earlier, the ministry announced that the Ceylon Electricity Board would only implement the revision after receiving approval and guidance from the Finance Ministry. However, this position was reversed following public clarification by the minister. Minister Jayakodi emphasized that the tariff reduction would provide significant relief to households and support industries grappling with high energy costs. The initial back and forth raised concerns about the clarity and timing of the implementation, with some stakeholders questioning the ministry's coordination. Director Communications at the Public Utilities Commission, Jayanath Therath, said that a prepaid optional tariff has been proposed for the LICO-operated areas to be implemented later this year. The Director of Communications of the PUCSL said this, speaking at a press conference announcing the 20% electricity tariff reduction in Colombo recently.
The Public Utilities Commission, headed by Professor Lalit Chandralal and Engineer Pial Hennayaka, and with the participation of Commission member Dr. Chaturi Samanmali Fernando, the decision was taken to reduce the electricity end-user tariff by 20% overall reduction. This decision was taken after considering the initial proposal by CEB to continue the existing tariff for next 6 months starting from January to June, and also the counter proposal drafted by the permanent staff of the Public Utilities Commission for the LECO area starting from Nigampu to Gol. The LECO distribution area had proposed a prepaid optional tariff which will be implemented somewhere in late March or early April. Those who opt for a prepaid system, they can pop up their amount so that they could really have a kind of control over the electricity bill. So LECO has promised to implement it by somewhere early April or late March.
Sri Lanka's tourism sector has kicked off 2025 on a high note, welcoming over 112,000 visitors in the first 2 weeks of January, a 21.11% year-on-year increase compared to the same period in 2024. The average daily tourist arrivals also surged by 21.12% year-on-year, with 8,030 visitors per day compared to 6,630 during the corresponding period last year. This robust start highlights the sector's resilience and its critical role in boosting foreign exchange inflow and supporting Sri Lanka's economic recovery. India led the arrivals with 19,353 visitors, followed by Russia with 17,225, the UK with 9,178, Germany with 7,455, and Australia with 4,815. These top 5 markets underline the country's appeal across diverse regions. Sri Lanka has set ambitious targets for 2025, aiming to welcome 3 million tourists and generate $5 billion in revenue. These goals are supported by the strong performance of 2024, which concluded with over 2.05 million arrivals. Last year recorded $3.2 billion in income, the third highest arrivals and fifth highest revenue on record, and the best performance since 2019. Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Labour Minister Professor Anil Jayanta Fernando said that the government will address challenges faced by professionals, particularly concerning the pay-as-you-earn tax and the growing trend of skilled worker migration. Professor Fernando said this speaking at a meeting with the Professionals Trade Union Confederation at the Finance Ministry earlier this week. Professor Fernando highlighted the government's recognition of the pressing issues impacting professionals and emphasized the importance of retaining skilled workers to contribute to national development. He reiterated the commitment to reviewing pay tax regulations, developing strategies to formalize the role of professionals in supporting national growth, balancing revenue generation and workforce welfare. Professor Fernando also acknowledged the dual challenge of enhancing government tax revenue while ensuring professionals remain motivated to stay and contribute to the local economy. The Ceylon Chamber of Coconut Industries has called on the government to expedite the approval to import 200 million coconuts, warning of a dual crisis affecting domestic consumers and exporters. The chamber made this collective plea at a press conference held in Colombo on Tuesday. The chamber said that the current shortage has led to soaring domestic coconut prices, reaching 200 rupees per nut, and threatens export commitments. The chamber stressed that Sri Lanka risks damaging its reputation in the global coconut market, valued at $30 billion by 2030, while jeopardizing the livelihoods of thousands reliant on the industry. The chamber emphasized that if exporters fail to meet their obligations due to raw material shortages, the nation's reputation as a reliable supplier will suffer. The chamber noted that regulatory procedures mean imports could take at least a month to reach manufacturers, further straining supply chains and effective farm gate prices during the June harvest season. The CCCI also emphasized that importing fresh coconuts would benefit industries like oil and activated carbon production. However, it is also exploring alternatives such as copra chips, dried parings, coconut milk, and frozen kernels. It was further revealed that the crisis stems from several factors, including 2020 blanket ban on agrochemicals, unaffordable fertilizer prices, pest and wildlife damage. The chamber has urged the allocation of 1.5 billion rupees from the cess fund for subsidies on moisture conservation, fertilizers, pest control and other agricultural improvements. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the publication of a Gazette notification for the draft bill on the Proceeds of Crime Act and its subsequent submission to Parliament for approval. This was revealed by the Cabinet spokesman and Minister Dr. Lanka during the post-Cabinet meeting media briefing on Tuesday. Spokesman Dr. Jayatissa announced that the bill, drafted by the legal draftsman and cleared by the Attorney General, is a significant step in bolstering Sri Lanka's legal framework to combat corruption and illicit asset accumulation. The Proceeds of Crime Bill is central to Sri Lanka's efforts to address financial crime and corruption. It is expected to provide stringent measures to track and recover illicitly gained assets, strengthen legal mechanisms to prevent and penalize corruption effectively, align national anti-corruption laws with international standards. The legislation forms a crucial component of Sri Lanka's commitment to the International Monetary Fund's Corruption Diagnostic Report and Action Plan. The bill's passage will signify the country's resolve to improve governance and transparency, aligning with the broad economic reforms tied to IMF support. The draft bill's progression to Parliament marks a milestone in Sri Lanka's efforts to enhance accountability and address systemic corruption effectively. With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.